そういうとこ子供なのよね。子供なのよね。子供なのよね。
And that, my dear boys and girls, is what you call music to my ears.
Pokemon Ranger, I choose you!
What's up, my dear boys and girls? It's your Ranger Boy here, and welcome back, Iris. Oh my god, this episode. You know when I said that the Farfetch'd episode was the best Journeys episode? Well, screw that, because just like the Unova champion title itself, Iris just took that title for herself. Maybe. Or maybe not. I can already tell that this review will be as long as, if not even longer, than my Corinna review. So grab some popcorn, grab some cookies, and let's do this! The nature of how this episode starts off is the same as the nature of our beloved, and sometimes not beloved, Gen 5 Queen. Very direct and with no ifs or buts. Ash directly getting an invitation of Iris, who challenges him. He then gets a little flashback of his time with the Dragon Girl and Mr. Fabulous himself, and without any time spared, we arrive at Soryu City. And just looking at this city, its tower, and its gym gives me so many freaking flashbacks that it's crazy. Also, having rewatched Black and White didn't really help my teary eyes either. Callback number 1. Soryu City, but especially the tower of this city, has a special place in my heart since it's very significant to Iris' own story. Her being enrolled in the academy, but unable to adapt to her new environment, she feels isolated and lonely, and to overcome this loneliness, she more than often climbed up this tower to feel the breeze of her dragon village. Soon after the arrival in Unova, we enter callback number 2. Go catching 2 of the 3 elemental monkey Pokemon not only references Ash's first ever Unova gym battle, but with Go pointing out that the one left being Pansage, that of course is a subtle reference to my boy Silent, whose main partner is Pansage. Callback number 3. Go attempting to catch a new Pokemon just ended up with him hitting Iris with a Pokeball. The same way Ash encountered the rather free-spirited girl from Black and White for the very first time.
Nice, but now it's time to get to Ash vs Iris, okay?
We are here for the return and battle of Iris, which will take place in the Soryu gym. And as soon as we arrive there, we are greeted by the adorable Axew. Which is not our Axew, but it's Drayden's Pokemon. God damn it, we got bamboozled here. But what happened to Iris's Axew? Also, by the way, Drayden can be considered as callback number 4, because the anime directly referenced the rematch between Iris and himself, while also pointing out that he is her mentor. Furthermore, this Ash vs Iris battle being a 2v2 is also the same format as the Iris vs Drayden rematch.
Can we talk about Ash vs Iris now? Please?
Okay. Anyway, let us put aside the callbacks, at least for now, and let us finally enter Ash vs Iris World Championship match. Introduced with Iris' Emolga lighting up the stage, I missed this sassy Pokemon, and to the shock of the boys, with Iris making a grand entry as the champion of Unova. And, okay, I'll be blatantly honest here. As soon as I saw her, new appearance, and the way her expressions and movements were animated, for some odd reason, my heart skipped a beat, and I think paused for a good second or so. She's hella adorable! What the fuck? Was she always Miss Adorable? I mean, I always liked her because of her personality alone, but I guess Iris was all like,
because of my personality alone? You don't think that I can be cute too? Well, mister, time to prove you wrong.
And proving us wrong, she did. Oh my god, she's cute! But, you know, cuteness aside, I honestly think that her reason for inviting Ash was not only to battle against him, ranking up in the World Championships, and therefore improving her overall skills as a Dragon Master, but it kinda seems like another reason for inviting him was to surprise Ash and show off a little bit. Nice. While bragging about her achievements, Drayden explains shortly how exactly Iris achieved such great heights, by continuously battling dragon trainers while also encountering new dragon-type Pokemon. And as a result of that, we not only get an explanation of how she achieved her champion status, but Drayden also indirectly provides callback number 5, by referencing the Iris special episode where she battled against Claire and also caught Gibble afterwards. But slightly humble bragging aside, Iris is pretty much self-aware that being a champion doesn't automatically mean that she achieved her goal of a Dragon Master, which is especially interesting with this guy right here, since many people thought back then that Ash's journey would end after he won the Alola League. Sure, and pigs fly outside my window right now. So, to get closer to her dream of becoming a Dragon Master, Iris decided to take part in the World Championships to hone her skills. Ash gets very excited about their upcoming clash, and in typical Iris manner, she replies with her infamous, "Come on guys, you can do it. 3, 2, 1.
You're such a kid.
Followed up by Ash and Iris fighting each other, aka callback number 6, since both used to fight a lot after Iris called Ash a kid.
Hello, main event.
God damn it! All these callbacks and references really distracted me a lot from the main event. But hey, to my defense, both Ash and Iris also nearly forgot their battle while bickering like the good old days. So it's time for Ash vs Iris, and surprisingly enough, Ash calls out his Dragonite first. And after a cute first time encounter between Ash's Dragonite and champion Iris, she immediately uses her innate skills to read Dragonite's past and feelings. I would have loved to explain this a little bit more, but even Go points out that we wasted enough time with references. So Iris immediately calls out her Dragonite, which of course is something that we all have been waiting for, since it's a battle of two of the same Pokemon but with vastly different personalities. Man, that reminds me of Iris' first encounter with Dragonite where— Enough long! Okay. Iris doesn't even want to waste any more time and lands a direct hit with Dragon Rush, and Ash's Pokemon immediately feels the effect. Afterwards, it seemed like that both Pokemon are on equal terms, displayed by not only a heavy Thunder Punch / Dragon Claw clash, but also by a collision of Hurricane and Ice Beam, so devastating that they blew off the gym's rooftop. But no need to worry, Iris. Drain is totally fine with that. So let's return to Iris' Pokemon asserting his dominance to the Pretender by giving him another Dragon Rush, and while Ash's Pokemon is on his knees, the feisty dragon steps in front of him and literally looks down on him, and both Ash and Dragonite are forced to retreat. So Iris' Dragonite metaphorically and literally disrespected a fellow companion. For the love of Arceus, calm down, my boy. So as an act of revenge, Ash calls out his second Dragon-type Pokemon, which of course is Dracovish, which Iris immediately falls in love with. Until Dracovish catches Dragonite's attack with his jaw, Dragonite can't hear Iris' command because his ears are stuck in the jaw, and then he finishes him off with Ice Fang. Okay. So after that rather sudden ending, Iris decides that she has another surprise in store. Her actual ace, Haxorus! So yes, Iris' cute Axew turns out to have evolved into a champion's trump card, and I kinda feel some sort of parent's pride right here. And Axew's new self demonstrates its immense growth by finishing his opponent off with both Dragon Pulse and Psycho Kata! And quickly after that, Iris shows some sort of trainer IQ by pointing out that the best way to deal with Dracovish was to attack from the distance instead of battling one-on-one against that jaw. Clever girl. So with one Pokemon down and one heavily injured, our 5-10-year-old boy is in quite the pinch. But like always, he won't give up until the very end and sends out his heavily fatigued Dragonite. His trusted Pokemon then starts off to power up with Dragon Dance and wants to finish his opponents off with Dragon Claw. But Iris uses the power of Outrage, literally, to block that incoming attack and even brushes off Outrage's side effects by headbutting into the ground, like Gladion's Lycanroc did. No more references, please! Anyway, Ash is prepping up his Pokemon, but Iris notices that something is wrong, and therefore uses her innate skills as a future Dragon Master to talk with Dragonite via telepathy. She points out that Dragonite really reminds her of her Axew, with both having a rather shy and kind nature, but she then also states that her Pokemon later on found enjoyment and fun in battling, and that Dragonite should also do that, since that surely would make Ash happy as well. So yeah, Iris directly helped out her opponent's Pokemon mentally, which even the usual no worries Ash finds quite strange. But no thoughts wasted on that, since it's time to end this battle. After a collision of Breaking Swipe and Dragon Claw, Iris' ace quickly answers with Psycho Kata. But then Ash and the anime do one last reference by using Hurricane as a counter shield. God damn it! And a very surprised Ash once again is baffled by Iris cheering them on despite being their enemy. With one last effort, Iris tries to break through that counter shield with Dragon Pulse, but Ash being Ash, he uses the power of the Dragon Pulse, merges that with the Hurricane, catapults that into the air, and by mixing the two powers with the atmosphere, Ash's Pokemon obtain the power of Draco Meteor! And for the first time ever, Ash Ketchum defeats a Pokemon champion. Ash ranks up to the hyper class, Iris sends him her congratulations and some good old best wishes, wink wink, and the episode ends with a silhouette of future upcoming challenges in the superclass. God damn it, even for my standards, this review was way too long. So let's talk about it in my ratings. What can I say about the story? I think this episode, in all honesty, is one of the most important episodes dedicated for a specific character, because for years now, there were a lot, and I mean a lot of people who had some visible disdain for Iris, and sometimes it even seemed like that the people in charge of Pokemon also showed little interest in her. For example, compared to every other girl, Iris never received any kind of merchandise during or even after her gen was over, and every other Pokegirl at least got one dedicated figurine. Everyone except for Iris. And in my recently posted video about the Pokegirl ranking of the Japanese fandom, Iris was also very low. So to see this episode right here honestly is just heartwarming to me, because it really shows that the producers do care about Iris after all. And I also saw that after this episode many people gained some newfound recognition and respect for her. Another big positive about this episode is that this right here shows how future potential return episodes of other characters can be done. Yes, there were a lot of references to the past, and maybe even more so compared to the Sun and Moon episode, but all of them have been done very subtle and very quick without distracting too much from the current main story. And by the way, I love how self-aware the anime itself is, and that it knows that the nostalgia moments can be distracting, since both Drayden and even Go pointed that out. And even though we had many callbacks, from Iris' champion dress, a reference to her game counterpart, until the counter shield at the near end of the battle, those don't take away from the main attraction, which was Ash vs Iris, but in my opinion it really enhanced the overall enjoyment of this episode. Now, let's talk about Ash vs Iris itself, and therefore let's deconstruct every part that took place. First, Dragonite vs Dragonite. From a pure storytelling point of view, this was hands down the best. Even before this battle took place, people were gushing about a potential dragon versus dragon battle, and one reason for that is naturally because they both are so vastly different in character. On the one hand, we have a very cute and cuddly kind of Pokemon in Ash's Dragonite, and on the other hand, we have a more fierce and a more aggressive Pokemon in Iris' Dragonite. And the story of this battle was how the fierce one absolutely dominated his cute counterpart by brute force, and even looked down on him, while Ash's Dragonite was on his knees. And intimidated by this physical and mental dominance, Ash and Dragonite had to retreat, kinda signaling that both weren't ready for the champion's brawler. Excellent storytelling, which really elevates Iris' Pokemon a lot. Next, we have Dragonite vs Dracovish, which I have some mixed feelings about at first, since it was over very quick and therefore felt a little bit underwhelming. But if you look at the context of this episode, then it kinda makes sense. Dragon-type experts like Iris and Drayden never ever have seen this Pokemon in their lives, which means that they don't know anything about it. They don't know his behavior, his strengths or weaknesses, or what kind of typing it is. So Iris really was woefully unprepared for this one, got caught off guard, and therefore Ash used the element of surprise to finish the deal. Very good storytelling if you know the context, but without it, you could feel a little bit underwhelmed by this battle. Dracovish vs Haxorus was very basic, with Haxorus finishing him off with just 2 attacks. I like how they showcased some of Iris' battle IQ in here, but it was too quick and definitely was the weakest battle. Last but not least, Dragonite vs Haxorus. And even though I prefer Dragonite vs Dragonite more from a story point of view, from just a pure action and battle execution point of view, this one was the best. Constant back and forth, both Ash and Iris showing a lot of creativity and willpower, with Iris snapping out of the confusion in a very unusual way, and Ash with the whole counter shield tactic and him merging his opponent's power with his own to create something brand new. But the amount of greatness shouldn't take away from the very decent storytelling of this battle, which is Ash's Dragonite at first feeling very unsure about himself, until Iris builds up his confidence and even goes so far to cheer him on despite being his opponent. So everything I just said so far has been great. Are there any negatives besides the Haxorus vs Dracovish battle? Yes. Unfortunately, there are. A little bit. My main gripe with this episode is that Iris being a champion kinda comes out of nowhere. I know, Drayden did explain it, but his explanation really felt half-assed, and this in my opinion would have been a good reason to make the Iris return a 2-part episode. If she had 2 episodes, then we not only could have had a more detailed explanation of how exactly she became champion and what kind of difficulties and hardships she had to overcome to get there, but we also could have had a chance of seeing some more interaction interaction between Iris and Go. The little interaction they had was okay, but I would have loved to see more, and maybe Iris even giving him some sort of advice, since she is a champion now. Another nitpick I have is that this episode still leaves the Iris special episode unanswered. Mainly, what did she do with her Gibble, and did she continue to chase Rayquaza? These are open endings of the special episode, which still left us with even more questions. And unlike in the case of Dawn, where they made the Quilava episode actually canon by the time she returned in Black and White, it feels like Journeys wants to somewhat decanonize the Iris special and replace that with her becoming champion without any more details. So yeah, these are my problems. So, is this episode still a 10 out of 10 besides the rather huge nitpicks that I have? Yes, yes, for sure. For a short period of time, I was worried that they would handle the Iris return and therefore the potential returns of female protagonists in a manner which, let's say, is very controversial, which is not a rarity in Pokemon Journeys. But this Iris return has been almost perfect. And also I have a huge bias for Black and White. So, 10 out of 10. Focus. Dragon Battle. Ash vs Iris was the title, and just like Iris herself, this title was very direct. And just reading this alone, it builds up a lot of hype. But at the same time, despite the greatness that is Dragonite vs Dragonite, you didn't know what else to expect until you get pleasantly surprised by Haxorus instead of the usual Axew. So it was indeed a full-out Dragon Battle, like the title implies, with the anime using Iris's full potential. 10 out of 10. Animation. I mean, my god. Just wow. Just the way they animated Iris in her champion dress and the various amounts of cute expressions left me speechless. She is adorable. But when you enter all the battles, and especially the last one being amazing, especially the merging of the two moves into the atmosphere, creating Ash's newly obtained Draco Meteor, what a fantastic way to transition from one move to a newly obtained one. I also like how both Ash's and Iris's battle commands were animated, not only showing once again how similar they are, but also how they show through animation that they put their utmost heart and soul into every move they do. 10 out of 10. So this indeed is my second ever 10 out of 10 rating in the Gen 8 anime. And the fact that this high rating belongs to the Iris return episode, honestly, I couldn't be happier. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed this super long review. What is your opinion on the Iris return? And what is your opinion on Ash vs Iris? Tell me, just like always. I see you guys in the comments down below. Bye guys!